How's it going, everyone? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest in the behind the bar reviews for chapter 920 of One Piece. One Piece, ladies and gentlemen. And the title of the chapter is, of course, Love Odin. I love Odin. Who doesn't love Odin? Odin, not the dish. No. Odin, Lord Odin, the guy that everyone has just been talking about, everyone's been making theories about. We're finally in Wano. Kazuki Odin. Like, we all thought that he would be this charming and amazing individual. Maybe not charming, but the painted picture here at the beginning of the chapter is quite different than everybody assumed Odin would be like. And everyone is very shocked when Kinemon is just talking all about basically catching everyone up to speed, all about who Odin was. They talk about how he was our great lord, but he was a brash, young, violent man who raised so much hell in the Flower Capital, he was eventually kicked out, even though, his father was the current shogun at the time. It's like, nope, you're causing too much mayhem, too much havoc, you're too wild, we're getting you the hell out of there. At the time, in Wano, there was this lawless place called the Curry region. And actually, the Odin Castle was at one time called Curry Castle. It was actually given the title of Odin Castle because of the people's love of Odin. And at first glance, you have to sit back and this wild, brash young man who's prone to violence and stuff. Why would people... you have to respect strength as a samurai. In a country like Wano, when you look at feudal Japan and who was considered, great and all that stuff, sure, you have the more the medium, the whole idea of balance, but you also have to respect a certain level of strength. And even though one may be violent, if he possesses the strength to do so, but even that's not the case. No. He was thrown into this lawless place because at the time when Odin was not even 20 years old, he accomplished all these feats that I'm going to list off. He did this all before he was 20. So Odin was a young man. Odin was a teenager when he did all this. He was kicked out. I think it was stated it was about 15, but don't quote me on that, guys. He was kicked out of the Flower Capital by his father and stuff into this lawless area called the Curry region, which is where they're all standing right now, sort of idea. And he went there, and it was where criminals and cutthroats, and it was a rogues town. It was just a terrible, lawless area. It was basically Australia back when the British Empire, that's how a lot of the people from Australia are descended from. When the British Empire at the time just didn't want to build prisons and keep criminals in their own country, they dumped them on a ship and sent them to Australia. Similar idea. It's like all the worst people that they don't even want to house anywhere near anybody else. They're just dump them in this part of the land. So this place was lawless. This place was terrible. Odin comes in, finds the biggest, baddest guy in the park, and I'm going to beat you. And this guy was named, I find this a weird name, Boy Ashura. Now, Ashura can be translated as certain deities and stuff in different versions of mythology, including the Japanese mythology. But also, Asura is also a very prevalent thing. As we all know, that is stated in One Piece as part of Zoro's thing. It's stated in Shokugeki no Soma as Joshiro's thing. It's stated in Azura's Wrath from the video game and stuff, which is an anime-based video game. The Asura is something that's that is big in Japanese mythology. So I'm not sure if the translation was perfect on that. Is it Ashura, which is another form, but that's very much different than Asura. So either way, this person's name was Boy Asura of some description, and Odin walked up to him, and really, in retrospect, it's the easiest way if you want to shut things down and start fresh, if you want to take something over. The easiest way to do it, if you have the capacity to do it, is take out the biggest, baddest guy. Take out that mafia boss. Take out that, world leader. Take out. The easiest way to win a war, the easiest way to win a battle is, and to, rather than fight your way up, just fight one big battle against the strongest guy. Makes sense if you can do it. Apparently Odin could, as a teenager. Walked in there you're the worst guy we got, I'm going to beat you. Apparently he did. And at that point, he started to cultivate the land of Curry, the Curry region. They built a castle, he made rivers, he made the plantations, he taught them how to build, he taught them how to do this, that, the other thing. So he created this wonderful paradise of a land, a laughter-filled place. Apparently his catchline was always, "This is uncomfortable." So then he'd go, I'm garnering this as something like, you know what? These chairs, they're uncomfortable. I'm going to build better chairs. And then he just goes off and he gets the greatest, he decides, we're going to learn how to be carpenters today, village. We're going to build the greatest chairs because this is uncomfortable. Next thing, our water supplies are kind of low. This is uncomfortable. We're going to make a bigger river. To me, that's what I took away from the line that his catchphrase is always, "This is uncomfortable." It's kind of like that guy, we all kind of know him, an uncle, a father, someone who's always on the go. Always needs to be doing something with his hands. He comes home from work and he's working on something in the basement, in the garage, in the yard. He's doing something. He's always got to have a project on the go. And he's just working away constantly to make things better. There's nothing wrong with them, but could they be better? Of course. All right, knock down that wall. We're going to make a better wall. Every single time. So, I have huge respect for this. I always liked the concept of who Odin was going to be. And they even state he fascinated Whitebeard. He charmed Roger. He was the epitome. And I mean, you think about it, it's like, yeah, you got the respect of the Pirate King and the one that could have been the Pirate King. And if anybody's going to split hairs about the fact that Whitebeard could have been the Pirate King after Roger, and like a Kainu with his bullshit thing to Ace, yeah, no. Whitebeard chose not to. Roger even said, "Hey, do you want to know how?" He literally said, "Hey, I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, I'm not going to be around forever. I know I'm dying. So, I mean, you want, basically handing Whitebeard the title. Hey, you want to go here and be the Pirate King? That's cool." Whitebeard was like, "Nah, I got no interest in that." And that was literally it. He had no interest in being the Pirate King. But either way, taking two great figureheads like them and having their respect, which is at the end of the day, fascinated, charmed, it's just other words for respected. They respected Odin. Odin was just this epitome of a guy. We do cut away from this little tidbit to jump over to Zoro to find out that he's going to cause shit because, so of course the dog got lost because Zoro is just how does that even work? I swear it's only because Nami is such a great navigator that the Thousand Sunny gets anywhere without getting totally lost, because Zoro literally rides on the back of a dog that knows where it's going, and the dog somehow gets lost just because Zoro's there. Oh my god. Anyways, I like the trope, but still, so we do catch up back over to Zoro. A lot of people assume that Zoro was, alright, now we won't see Zoro for 30 chapters. No. I didn't think that. I was thinking, okay, that we might not see him for a little bit, but once, people start coming back, like Usopp and Frankie and Robin, Zoro will be rejoining the crew as the first to rejoin Luffy, and he'll once again come back at the last. Whatever, but this Wano arc has been going so fast, really. A lot of information dropping, a lot of things happening really fast. Oda is just piling it on, all the stuff. It's like, this happens, this happens, this happens. He's just all over the map. Which is cool. It's great. We're not having any boring chapters, put it to you that way. And then after he sees a dock, a wharf, whatever, and he sees a boat, and he's like, should I try to catch a boat? That boat's probably got bad guys on it. Probably got a calamity. At the bare minimum, it's Kaido's crew of some description. It's the Shogun himself. Somebody important's there. Some shit's going to go down with Zoro getting lost there. We do cut back over to Kinemon talking all about the Odin and all that stuff. And this was a very confusing double page for me. This was very, very confusing. I didn't fully understand it at first, and I reread it, and I just sat back and went, okay, I think at this point, what Oda's trying to do is skip over the details of Odin's death, which we were already privy to, and is just retelling the members of the Straw Hats who did not know, who did not hear this part of the story. We know as the viewers, but they do not know. So I think what Oda was trying to do was just skip over that stuff and not waste a page or 2 or 3 to explain all that stuff that we already knew. We got new information, and it's like, okay, we'll graze over this, and all we see is the reaction shots. In my opinion, I think this would have been done better as a single page with a bunch of the text bubbles, but we don't hear what they're saying. Then jump over to the double page with Luffy getting mad, like that was horrible and stuff. That's what happened to Odin, how horrible, he died like a criminal, that's not right, all these things. Would have been a better way to do it, because I jumped back and forth, and I also read in the forums that some other people were confused by this and kind of like, there must have been an easier way to do that in the same amount of pages. It jumped very confusing, and one of the translations by Luffy, I believe, is what happened to Odin or something. It's like, okay, wait a minute, like something, the way it was structured, it was kind of poor in my opinion. But once again, this is my reviews, my opinion, it's what I'm talking about. We jump over from all this stuff, we see that Kinemon is just, they're all crying, saying, this was our Lord, it was 20 years ago, but for us, it only happened a few months back, and that is because of, and then we're starting to get the more new information, like, okay, we have the backstory of Odin, we know where he came from, how he came to be, why this is Odin Castle, blah, blah, blah. Now, we're going to jump over into this whole time traveling business. But before all that, we do cut away to see Inuarashi on a beach talking about how a great man Odin was, how he was the talking dog, and of course Nekomamushi the talking cat. They washed up on this shore, and they were treated terribly, like, oh, we're different, and stuff like that. Classic whole racism thing. Fire Emblem Lagoos, just look into that. No further than that do you need to go to see exactly, as a player of that game, I understand exactly where all that came from. And apparently Odin was the good guy. Odin was the Gale, the Ike of that idea. And he just, no, what are you doing? Just because they're different? Stop that, you louts, like sort of idea. And he was their lord, he was their savior sort of idea. Great to see that Inuarashi's there, and he looks so badass sitting there, his cool samurai hat and all that stuff. I really like Inuarashi. Something about him, I like his design. I really like him. Nekomamushi too, but I got a thing for Inuarashi. Not that kind of thing, guys. Stop being perverted. Anyways, we jump over to back to talking about the past, and we're talking all about how, okay, here's ended up what happened after their death and all that thing. When they died, we had to escape. So we escaped the Flower Capital. We passed Inuarashi and Nekomamushi as we passed, but their lives were already forfeit. So we tried to make our way to Odin Castle before Orochi could make his next move, which would be to eliminate Lord Momonosuke. However, Kaido already beat them to the punch. It's like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. So it was Orochi and stuff that pulled all that stunt. And they tried their best to regroup. But they couldn't do it in time because Kaido, at this time, it's a little odd. At the time, clearly Odin did something to piss off Kaido. Or Kaido really wanted control of Wano. One of those two things. Because Kaido, for all we know, is not the most intelligent of the Yonko. I think that's a fair assessment. I think that we could name off on our hands more intelligent characters in the One Piece verse. Very easily. So a preemptive strike while they're like that does sound a little bit similar to Marineford. He went to intercept Whitebeard, but Shanks intercepted him and somehow showed up unscathed, so work that one out. Did Kaido go, alright, I want to send all my dudes, but, I'm not going to go. I want to take out Whitebeard, but I'm not going to go to do it, So what the hell happened there with Shanks and everyone showing up totally unscathed? Don't know. That's a theory for another time. But either way, it just seems like, were they working together at the time, Orochi and Kaido? Because according to the way Kinemon explains this, is that he beat him to the punch, and he had already started burning Odin Castle, Curry Castle, whatever it was called at the time, the one they're in right now with the ruins. And it's like, okay, so how did he beat him to the punch if they're already working together? So I'm of the opinion that Kaido and Orochi were not working together at the time of Odin's death. That was something set up by the Shogun Orochi alone. And then Kaido, seeing an opportunity, took advantage. And then now they're kind of working together, or Kaido's controlling, or something. We don't actually know the dynamics of this yet. This alliance, for lack of a better term. So I'm very interested to find out, when did they join, how did they join, and who's in real control? Because if the Shogun is any kind of mastermind, if he's got any type of brains at all, it's very possible that even though Kaido is far superior to him, he might have found a way to manipulate it into making Kaido do what he wants. That's very possible. For all we know, he's an L, or a light Yagami level of genius over here. And he's just manipulating the chessboard like, I don't need to be the strongest and the most powerful to be the true mastermind sort of idea, the puppet master, so to speak. Be very interesting if that was the case. Would it take away from the fact that he's probably a badass two-style samurai? Nah, we can give him multiple traits, it's fine. Either way, they finally, I guess, reach inside the burning castle, and they find that apparently Momonosuke has a sister, Kei, and Lady Toki, which was Odin's wife. Now, they talk about that Lady Toki, Odin's wife, was actually someone from the ancient past. There were always rumors about this. And of course, she's silhouetted, we don't see her face. However, it's implied that she's been jumping through time. And Oda, with the Toki devil fruit, which a lot of people said, I said it was a possibility, the only way they could have really jumped through time. I'm still not sold on the whole adding time travel in any description into the One Piece world. However, this at least fixes a lot of timeline paradox issues. Not all of them. I know someone will figure it out. But as far as I can remember, there were 4 times of time travel. 4 concrete ones. And the only one that actually had very, very specific problems was the one where you can never go back to the past. You can go forward into the future, but you can never travel back into the past. There is slight problems with that, and I won't get into that here. That's a video for another time. But all 3 other ones do have issues. Certain ones like Back to the Future, Terminator, all those type of things. Whenever you add time travel, you end up creating paradoxes and problems with timelines. In this case, because the Toki no Mi only allows, and it's also odd, she's Lady Toki. Did she take on the name of her devil fruit because she didn't want to reveal her real name, so she called herself Toki, and that's her Toki power? Not 100%, like, did you take the name and that's the real name of the fruit, or is it something else? I mean, I'm a little confused on that one. I'm assuming that her real identity isn't Toki, she's somebody else, but as she was from the ancient past and she's been jumping through time trying to find her final destination, and she found that this was it. She was clearly happy with Odin, she had a happy life in Wano, she had children and all, and she's like, okay, my husband is now dead, the world's turning worse, my country is falling, this is where I die. This is where I'm not going to try to jump ahead anymore. However, I'm going to send you guys through time to try to help, free Wano's borders, get revenge, all that fun jazz. So, they're crying all about this and how tragic this is and such, and in the end, it really is. It's adding time travel, once again, not a fan, but at least Oda is trying to make it heartwarming in a sense, or heart-wrenching, I should say, is more accurate, in the fact that it's like, this was a desperate attempt. The time no Mi, which a lot of people thought Shanks might have, I never bought into that theory, is clearly been revealed to be a very limited power. It can send herself and others through time, which begs the question, she chose to stay there. But she probably could have sent herself, and I have another question. Why isn't the daughter there? Why only send the people there, like all the people there? And clearly she can send women too, because Kiku and such, and herself. Why would she allow herself and her daughter to burn? I'm not buying it completely yet. Not buying it. I wouldn't be surprised if Lady Toki, or Lady Toki's daughter there, Momo's sister, is still alive in Wano and on the Shogun Orochi's side. It would be a crazy twist, and I have no evidence to back this up. But because she allowed her daughter to stay, she clearly, as far as we know, she did not send her daughter through time. And there's no mention of her after that. So, what happened? Why would you allow one of your children to live and the other child to perish with you? It seems very odd. As a parent, as a person, as someone trying to save a country, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think something else is going on there. Either she's actually conniving and evil in some sense, or her daughter became, what? I could buy the whole, I've jumped through time for many a decade, many a century. Maybe she came from the void century. Maybe she knew too much sort of idea. Maybe she was just done with the information. Maybe Odin knew it. Maybe Odin was part of the key that allowed Roger to figure out the truth. But in the end, I could buy if there was no sister. But I could buy the whole, my husband is now dead, my country burns, I've jumped through time for so many years. This is where I die. I want to choose where I die. I don't want to keep jumping all over the future. I found a happy life and I will die in this lifetime. I get that. But because you added the wrench in there, Oda, because of the addition of the sister for Momo, didn't jump her through time and she's shrouded in mystery too, I don't buy it. Something else is going on. Something bad. Something sinister is happening with these two. Don't know what it is. Are they both alive? I'm still on the banking ground that Kazuki Odin is still alive, and this is all some big mastermind game. Like L's, death in Death Note. And sorry, spoilers. I'm sorry guys, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. There's something else sinister happening there, and it's not a good thing. There's not some workings between Odin and his wife. They're on opposite sides. Let's assume for a moment that both are alive. They're on opposite sides of the spectrum, as far as if they are. That's all I'm saying. I just don't think. Yeah, I just don't think that this is all there is to the story. There's more to that story for sure. Now they go into the fact that when they first arrived, how they got separated, how they were going to rendezvous on Zou. We couldn't leave. This was not the one we knew. It was taken over. The Kazuki name was trash. Our castles were gone. All this fun jazz. They found the gravestones, all those things. Then they found people that with the moon sign on their ankle meant that they were part of a group of people that still believed in the Kazuki clan. And they are then told about because they didn't hear this. Remember that. I'm under the impression that, Kiyomon and Kiku and Raizo, none of them heard Lady Toki speak the great prophecy that we heard about in the last chapter. They didn't hear that part. So I'm under the impression that because they didn't hear that, they're hearing this for the first time. That Lady Toki said before she died that in 20 years' time, the Kazuki clan would have their right to revenge sort of idea. Like, everyone's misinterpreting. It's just like if you had a prophecy in this day and age, everybody misinterprets old information and people take things out of context. It happens. Now we have another version. And they're like, okay, you Kazuki clan is supposed to take revenge in 20 years. And even though it was a false hope, some of us still chose to believe, like, I am your banner carrier. And we're here. We believed. And now you've shown up after the 20 years was promised. You're here. So now we must gather people in secret. Here's what's going on. So they ended up getting a lot of information. They tried to leave, but they cannot leave because this is Wano and there's a strict no sailing sort of idea, unless you're the Beast Pirates, I'm assuming. So they were chased and they were split up, and we meet on Zou. We ended up on Dressrosa, even though Law's friend now, he cut me. All this fun jazz. And now we've all come together at this point. Now we have our opportunity. And this is where Kiyomon goes into his battle strategy, for lack of a better word. Now, to summarize exactly what Kinemon's battle plan actually is, seems he took some inspiration from our young Lord Odin. Because his idea is to take out the boss. Well, I do not wish to wage open war. And all I can think is, open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not, Kinemon. Listen to Aragorn, for God's sakes, man. But that's beside the point. The point is the fact that he wants 5,000 men. Now, I think he's discounting a few forces here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe he isn't totally informed about the plan. You like a guy with a plan. So he's counting on, of course, nobody knows they're there, and they really think they're ghosts. So now we have the Straw Hats, we have Law's Pirates, we have Nekomamushi and Inuarashi, and of course their groups of warriors, and of course we have all the warriors of Wano the samurai that they've been slowly collecting in secret. Ideally he wants 5,000. I don't think he'll get 5,000. He might, but most of them would be made up of samurai, in my opinion. But I'm thinking he's forgetting about things like, is Marco with Nekomamushi? There's a big frickin' addition. Is Marco going to bring along maybe Vista and Diamond Jozu with him? I mean, we can't be certain that they specifically went for Marco, maybe because they think that if Marco joins, I mean, we all know that we saw Marco, and maybe it'll just be Marco, joining right now, but potentially he could bring along a couple of the others along with him, be like, okay, Marco, we came after you first to see if you'll join this cause, but at the same time, we'd like it if you could try to convince any of the top tier commanders of the old Whitebeard pirates to join us as well, because the more battle strength we have, the better off we're goddamn well gonna be, right? So this seems like a big, and of course there's other people like total unknowns. Now, of course, they can't count them yet, but what about Kid? What about Killer? I mean, Hawkins currently is working for Kaido along with X-Drake, but that's more of a Beige thing. It's not going to last. There's a lot to consider with the power factors going on along all this. And I do not believe, like Jinbei's still got to show up and stuff. I mean, I know they count him as part of the Straw Hats, but at the same time, he's a warlord. He's off on his own. He's his own entity, in my opinion. Like, you have the Straw Hats, but then you could also count Jinbei as a plus or a bonus on it alongside, like a +1 to attack or +1 to defense if you play any type of role-playing game sort of idea. He goes over this plan they're going to invade Kaido's own island, and it looks badass from the distance. This big demon skull thing with the horns, the Beast Pirate Island. I can't say it. It begins with an O. It's like Omi no Goshi Island or something like that. In 2 weeks' time, I think it was 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time, the night of the Fire Festival, which I didn't have a chance to look up. That's probably some ancient festival in Japan that may or may not be still celebrated. That could be a reference. I'm not sure. But at the night of the Fire Festival, they are going to go in and silently take out the boss. They're going to invade Kaido's island in 2 weeks' time. Oh my. Okay. Please tell me they're talking about Orochi. Please tell me that on the night of the Fire Festival, that's when Orochi is going to be on Kaido's island. Please don't tell me that, okay. Odin inspired, I think that's why at the beginning of the chapter they talked about that, like, okay, Odin found the biggest, baddest guy in Curry region, and he beat the shit out of him. Now he was the boss, and he could change anything he wanted. Okay, so he took inspiration from that, but Kinemon, you have to remember that. Please don't tell me you think that is Kaido. Because no one in this group of people can take out Kaido. Not a single one. And if they can, Kaido's hype has been built up and failed well before that point then. Because there's no way anyone here can take out Kaido. Not even if they work together, I don't believe they can take out Kaido. They could maybe incapacitate him. They could maybe, in some form or another. They could maybe imprison him somehow. I don't know how, but how did he get captured so many times by Marines and such? Unless it was specifically like guys like Sengoku and Garp had to go after him every time. Like, how does he get captured? How does he stand in prison, then be so Kaido's still a mystery on how any of that works. I'm just hoping that he's talking about the Shogun. And you know this plan is going to fail, because all the plans fail. That's the fun. If this plan was going to go off without a hitch, wouldn't be exciting. And the Wano arc ain't going to end now. The Wano arc is going. The Wano arc is going to be the longest running arc in One Piece. Most possibly the longest running arc in One Piece, period, by the time it ends. But I just don't see how this is a good plan. I just don't. Not waging open war is maybe a good thing, maybe not. Maybe, once again, I'm going on the Aragorn thing here. I'm like, open war is upon you. Whether it happens or not, you have to be prepared to wage open war, because you don't really have another option. You guys aren't assassins. The Straw Hats and such, and samurai with a code of honor, you're not assassins. So you are going to wage big battles, and it is going to start a war. Luffy already started a war, and it's got to be finished. So I understand what Kinemo means about, not on an open battlefield, we got to do it, work to our assets, to our limited number. But I just hope when he says we're going to go take out their boss, he's not referring to Kaido, because that's just not going to work. If they're referring to the Shogun, once again, it's a good try, but of course it's not going to work. The Shogun's not going to be a bitch. If the Shogun's a bitch, which it could happen, it's One Piece, it could happen, but if the Shogun's a bitch, I would be displeased by that. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't be very happy about the Shogun not being like this two-sword wielding, dual-wielding, I got 2 Saijin no Wano Wazumono grade swords, I got 2 of the 12 grade supreme swords, look at me, I'm a badass. Actually, this is your father's Momonosuke, this is your father's supreme grade sword that I took off his corpse, and look, there's still some of the melted on the hilt from when I burned him, something like that. Just be a cruel, sadistic fucker. That would be, that'd be pretty cool. That would be more along the lines of what I'm expecting out of the Shogun. But at the end of the day, we have a break next week. So we have a lot of time to talk about this, guys. Please tell me, what did you think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always very much appreciated. There was a lot to talk about in this chapter, so this chapter review, of course, is a little bit longer. But One Piece always is. There's always every page you could talk about for 2, 3, sometimes even 10 minutes if you had the time to listen. But nobody has this kind of time, so I try to keep it brief, guys. I try to keep it brief. That being said, once again, like, subscribe, comment, always appreciated. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for Chapter 920 of One Piece. Won't see you back here next week, but we'll see you the week after. Have a great Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, guys, for those of you in Canada. And if you're not in Canada, celebrate it anyway. Have a turkey, watch some football, just like the rest of us up here in Canada do. That being said, guys, drink responsibly. See you next time.